Hi, I'm Dan McGowan. I'm a stand-up comedian with many years of experience for corporate events, community events, theater events, cruise ships, and more. I recently shot a dry bar comedy special too, and you can see that at drybarcomedy.com. In this short video, I want to give you 4 ways that you can take your stand-up to the next level. And this is going to be true whether you're brand new at stand-up comedy or you consider yourself a pro. You'll still find helpful insight in these 4 key areas. Those 4 areas are content, confidence, commitment, and connections. Let's talk about each one. First, let's talk about content. We live in a free speech world where you can say or do just about anything at any time. It is also true that you are an artist. You can create the art form you want to create and then perform it the way you want to perform it. That's just one of the things I love about this crazy art form called stand-up comedy. But here's the thing to keep in mind. Not all content is appropriate for every venue. That's just the truth. Now, there are venues who will let us do whatever we want in terms of content. You can be as vulgar as you want, for example, in most open mic situations that take place in a bar. But that content will probably not work if you want to get corporate events. And what it comes down to is deciding for yourself as an artist, do you just want to be able to go out and spew whatever you want in your comedy act? Or would you like to take this down a path of earning income? If you want to earn income performing for, let's say, corporate events, you're going to have to curtail your content. Even if you want to end up on late night television getting a guest spot, you probably will not be allowed to do very vulgar content or word usage. That's just the reality of this business. And again, that just depends on where you want to go with this. Some comedians are content just having their day jobs and hopping onto an open mic at a bar and saying whatever they want, hoping that people laugh. But other comedians want to take this to the next level. They actually want to carve out a career earning money doing stand-up comedy. And that career path will be largely based on the type of content you bring to the situation. So the takeaway here is just consider your content. Now let's talk about confidence. Confidence is a crazy thing. It's something that audiences pick up on right away, whether you are confident or lacking in confidence. It's kind of like how they say a dog can smell fear. Audiences know right away whether you are confident in what you're doing or not confident. And if you're not confident, they will turn on you. There's a common saying out there that you've all heard, fake it till you make it. I understand what that means, but I don't think that that's really true. I think a better approach is to just choose to act confident. When you perform, it needs to look like you've done this a million times. That said, I think there are ways that we can help build that muscle of confidence, kind of like when you work with weights. The first and probably the most obvious is know your material. Don't go up on stage guessing or hoping that you'll be funny. One of the dangers of stand-up comedy is that it appears to be a very lazy art form, like the comedian just hopped up on stage and suddenly was funny. Nothing could be further from the truth. That's not how this works. That's like thinking that a pro football quarterback just picks up a football, throws it, and suddenly everybody's catching his passes. Stand-up is not a lazy art form. It's perfected. And one of the ways to help perfect it is to know your material. Know your beginning, know your middle, and know your ending. In most cases, the punchline. You don't need to have your jokes memorized word for word, but you do need to know the path that you're going on. And this is probably obvious, but you need to take the time to go over your material again and again until it almost becomes boring to you. The great comedians that we think about when we think about their performance, it looks like they've just come up with what they're talking about, but that's not true. They've actually perfected it. They've gone over it, and they know exactly what words to say, where, and how to lead to that punchline to get us to laugh. So, know your material. Next, you need to know your comedy voice. What is your persona on stage? Are you an angry comic, a political comic? Are you zingers or one-liners? Are you kind of zany? Do you offer a lot of commentary? Who is your persona on stage? It's important to develop that, and of course that takes time, a lot of stage time, to come to the conclusion of who you are going to be on stage. But lock into that persona and it'll take you a long way. Third is your attire. What do you wear on stage? Do you wear light clothes, dark clothes? Do you dress up? Do you dress down? Do you follow the trends of what other comedians are wearing, or do you want to stand out? You see a wide variety of attire on comedians today. Everything from, hoodies with t-shirts and torn jeans, leaning on a mic stand, all the way to, suits and ties for men and nice dresses for women. It just depends on what you want to portray when you are performing. The key here, I think, is dress comfortably. Wear something that you're going to feel comfortable performing in, especially if you move around a lot. You don't want anything to tear on stage and have a wardrobe malfunction. Another thing that helps build confidence, believe it or not, is how you hold the microphone, if you choose to hold it. If you do choose to hold the microphone, make sure you're always holding it right in front of your mouth. No matter where you move, that mic never leaves. It's always right there. I like to tell students in my comedy classes, it's like you have a metal rod going through your neck that goes into the mic, and that means it cannot move. Now, even if you choose to have the mic on a mic stand and you hold the mic stand, same thing applies. Make sure that mic is near you. If you move it, move the stand with you. I see this all the time. I see comics using a mic and then they either drop it while they're talking or they make a funny comment and while they're talking they move it away. And what that does is that lowers your volume as a comedian, which means it lowers your confidence level in the eyes of the audience. So learn how to use that mic. And listen, if you get to a club or a show and you have a chance to do this, get on stage and just check out the mic. Does it have an on and off switch? If it does, make sure it's on. Is the mic stand a clutch kind where you can grab a clutch and lower it and raise it? Or does it have a twisty knob on it? It's important to know those things when you go in to perform because, again, it builds confidence. You need to appear as if this isn't the first time you've used a microphone. So, know how to use the mic. Now, another thing that actually builds confidence is you as a performer choosing to obey the rules of the room. I know that sounds obvious, but a lot of comedians don't. They'll run the light. They'll run past their allotted time, or they won't show up when the booker wants them to be there. Obey the rules of the room. If you're given a 10-minute slot, do 10 minutes. Don't do 7 and don't do 13. Do 10 minutes. And if they tell you they're going to give you a light at a minute before you end, follow that rule and just be done and thank everybody and walk off the stage. You will build your confidence by learning to obey the rules of the room. And again, this probably seems obvious, but a lot of people forget it. Stay in the light. When you perform at a club or some kind of a theater setting, there are stage lights and they're bright. And they're bright for a reason, because we need to see you tell us all your witty jokes. If there's a spotlight, if it's a follow spot, just make sure that that person, follows you when you walk around. If it's a fixed follow spot, do not step out of the light. Because when you step out of that light, believe it or not, you cannot be seen. And again, that lowers the confidence level. Another thing that builds confidence is ensuring that you have a good name, a good standing in the comedy community. Something that lowers that or damages that is stealing other people's material. Do not take or borrow other people's jokes or material. The word will get out and you won't have work. So those are the keys to helping build confidence. Now let's talk about the next important key area, commitment. If you're just somebody who wants to go to open mics and you have a great day job and you just want to have fun telling jokes on occasion, this may not apply to you. But if you're somebody who wants to take your comedy to the next level, this absolutely applies to you. We have to be committed to this craft. As committed as we can, given, constraints of work and family and all that. And I think one of the keys of being committed is seeking out and finding stage time. I think the most obvious entry point for comedians for stage time are open mics. Let me give you my thoughts on open mics. For me, the best open mic is one where the audience is what I call comedy hungry. They're there to watch comedy. When you put up a mic stand in the corner of a bar and they've got TV monitors going for the games or people playing pool or darts in the other part of the room, that's not a comedy hungry audience. Those are people that are upset that you are distracting them from the fun that they want to have at the bar. There are those out there who I know will say to me, hey, that's still stage time. And I would say, well, I guess, but it's not that much different than standing in your garage telling jokes. Kind of like what I'm doing. For my money, it's best to seek out comedy clubs or theaters who offer like a new talent night. Because at least you know that the audience who's there are interested in watching comedy. That's a great place to perform and perfect your craft as a stand-up comic. When we hear the laughs, or the lack of laughs, coming from the audience, it gives us a clue on how to change what we're doing in our act. And that's the goal, right? We want to get better at what we're doing. So we need to get as much stage time in front of comedy-hungry audiences as we can. And again, that takes commitment of time, energy, and all that. In large cities where there are a variety of opportunities for comedy club performances, comedians will go out every night of the week and perform. They are on stages 7 days a week. You may live in a town where that's not possible, but you still can seek out opportunities to perform. And I encourage you to do that. Again, that's the commitment part of this. The other part of the commitment, of course, is continuing to build your act, build your minutes. You know, I like to suggest that comedians come up with a wonderful type 5 out of the gate. 5 minutes that you know will land. Then build on that. Build on another 5 minutes and another 5 minutes and build up to the point where you got a good solid 20 or 30 minutes that you can take anywhere to perform. And then another aspect of commitment, I think, is getting yourself filmed. Have a friend film you or set up a camera and film your sets so that you can put together reels that you can either post online or that you can send to bookers who are booking comedy shows. You can also produce your own shows. Maybe it's a one-person comedy show, or you produce a show and you invite some of your friends to be on the show. Whatever it is, you can take control of that and find a venue who will support you in this comedy show that you want to put on. And then I just suggest that you do it, because that's how you get out in front of people and start getting your name out there. Again, there's a commitment to make that happen. And for those watching who do want to end up doing some corporate events, the commitment there is researching corporate events online. You find corporate event bookers or corporate events from the last year and their entertainment that they had, and you send them information about you. A headshot is fine, a resume is fine, but it's best to send them footage. Even if it's only 5 minutes, at least you can show them how you look in front of an audience. So all of that is how we stay committed to this craft of stand-up comedy. And now let's talk about the final area, connections. Connections are key. Connections are key in business, in life. It's very important to have connections. As a comedian, probably the first connections you make are with other comedians. You can swap war stories, or victories, or other aspects of working as a stand-up comedian. It's great to have a community of people you can talk to who totally understand what it's like to get up on the stage and tell jokes. Another important connection are people who book comedy shows. So this requires you, again, taking the time and effort to go to shows at top clubs that are near where you live. Get to know the manager or the owner of the room, or find out who books the room, and get them your information, get them your clips or your resume or whatever you want to give them. Let them know what you can do. Find out from them. When do they have new talent nights? When do they have open mics? Whatever it is. Get to know those people who book shows. And of course, nothing beats getting into the rotation at a comedy club, right? A regular rotation. Maybe you work as an MC, or you get a nice guest or feature spot, whatever it is. All of those things help build connections with the owner of the club. And if you can abide by the rules of the room and you can consistently bring funny content, you'll be seen as a comedian who they want to work with. That's gold. So I hope you found these 4 areas helpful as you strive to take your comedy to the next level. For more information about me, visit danmcgowan.com. That's it for now. I'll see you in the green room.